Guys, it's your boy Ruben, and great time to bring it back. Jags are making major moves. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and I'm definitely going to talk about my feelings with Trent Baalke. And if you guys have been following me for quite some time, you know how I feel about Trent Baalke. And I know everybody's in love with him right now because he's cooking in free agency. Big signings: Mitch Morse, Gabe Davis, Darnell Savage, Ronald Darby, and then Devin Duvernay as well. All guys that I like who they added. Don't get it twisted, okay? None of them blow my mind. Mitch Morse was an absolute necessity. We could not continue into next season with the exact same offensive line. That was a huge signing, my favorite signing so far. Now, a lot of guys who went from Trent Baalke sucks are kind of back on the bandwagon talking about Trent Baalke is cooking, right? Now, my issue with Trent Baalke, if you've been following, I don't care what he did in free agency. I actually think free agency is fairly simple. Okay, if you got the cap room, I'll give him this. He knows how to move money around and create cap room. I'll give him that. And he knows how to identify somebody else's player that was talented. I think that's easy. You can see the guy played well last year and go, okay, well, we need that. He fills a hole for us. That part's simple. Where I blame Trent Baalke is the management of the cap in terms of, so for instance, last year we didn't do anything. Well, the reason for that is because the year before that we were big players in free agency. We didn't have a lot of cap room. We could have had a lot of cap room or more cap room had he released certain players, right? So for instance, this year we cut Darius Williams so far, Rayshon Jenkins, Fodakasi. Those are guys that we cut this year for cap room and made the moves we ended up making, right? Well, the problem I have with that is, and nobody's really talking about it, is the only one of them, I'm not sure if Darius Williams did, I doubt it, but he restructured everybody that he signed for the year before. He restructured them last year to create cap room. Now, I don't know what we ended up doing with that cap space because I don't remember signing anybody, but he restructured those guys. And so this year he cuts them. And so, yes, we got money back, but let me explain to you that we could have had way more money. And the reason for that is because so when you restructure a contract, let me give you an example. I make $5 million this year. Let's say I make 3 years, $15 million, right? I make $5 million this year, $5 million next year, $5 million the year after that, right? Every time you restructure, it's just basically taking my money. So, for instance, I have a cap hit of $5 million this year, and that's divvied up in game checks, right? They owe me $5 million. Instead of doing that, he gave me the $5 million in a signing bonus. Now, what that does is that took the $5 million cap hit off the salary cap. So now you gain $5 million that you could play with, you know what I'm saying, in free agency. But that money doesn't just disappear. So instead of $5 million next year, it's $10 million next year. So basically you're borrowing from the future, right, to create cap space. Now, the guys he cut, I'm going to repeat, he restructured last year, which means their cap hits were larger this year. So if he cut them last year, we would have had not only money last year, but we'd have even more money now, right? Now, he still cut them, he still gained money, but there's a lot of dead money and more to come if we cut Zay Jones, if we cut anybody else, for instance. If this is the second time he's restructured Sheriff's probably going to retire here. Just to keep that in perspective. So my issue with Trent Baalke is he hasn't maneuvered the draft well in terms of the kind of talent we're bringing in. I like the guys we got, but there were better players at the draft picks that we chose. I don't feel like we took appropriate full advantage of the draft that we needed to. There were guys that I thought we could have got instead of Brenton Strange. There were guys that I felt like we could have got instead of Tank. And so with that being said, I still like those guys and the jury's still out. They can turn out to be phenomenal players. I just think assessing the appropriate value to that draft pick, we could have done better. And he does terrible when it comes to drafting. The trading part, the messing around with the cap space part, makes zero sense to me. It makes me wonder, what does he have any vision, right? So give you another example. He also restructured Foye Oluokun. Do I want him cut? No, I don't. But who told him to sign Foye Oluokun, and then you made the move to get Devin Lloyd, but then you went back in the same draft and got Chad Muma? When he did it, I said, Devin Lloyd and Chad Muma must be about to be the future of this franchise. So by the time it's time to re-up Foye Oluokun, it's going to be Devin Lloyd and Chad Muma time, and we're probably going to let Oluokun walk to save that cap space. That went out the window the second he restructured him the next year. Now, I don't want to say it went out the window, but we just basically guaranteed him more money and more dead cap against our salary cap, which means we have less money to play with as a result of it. And that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about that irks me about Trent Baalke. Now, I don't want to make this whole video of Trent Baalke bashing. I want to get more into the free agents that we got, how they apply. Another thing, Trent Baalke, not a people person. Josh Allen feeling disrespected. He waited way too long to negotiate with Josh Allen. He should have negotiated during the season. And if I were him, I would have negotiated before the season and got him signed before the season started. Because all of the pressure numbers were there. If he has any good analytics type of people, they could have told him that Josh Allen was worth $23 million, $24 million. I'm sure $24 million would have probably got it done. But you let him play on the deal, hoping, I feel like praying on his downfall. And now he gets $17.5 million. And guess what? Brian Burns just got signed for $30 million per. Now, as of this video, Danielle Hunter just got signed by the Texans for about 24.5 per. For the next 2 seasons. So somewhere in between 25 and 30 million lies Josh Allen. Because Josh Allen can make an argument that he's better than Brian Burns, because Brian Burns ain't never had a 17.5 sack season. Now, instead of giving the man 24 million, now we got to come up with at least 5 million. It's probably going to cost about 30 million. He's going to want Brian Burns money. It might cost 30 million to get Josh Allen signed. And that's the kind of thing that irks me about Trent Baalke, is he's not doing this right. Now, he can save a lot of face if he had a wink deal with Calvin Ridley, and this is all moot. But had he handled Josh Allen correctly, we would have had more money to play with to figure out the Calvin Ridley situation. Calvin Ridley might not needed to have been exposed in free agency, and like he is now. But because he didn't play it right, that's the kind of game we had to play. Now, word on the streets is Calvin Ridley wants to come back. We went ahead and signed Gabe Davis. I was lukewarm on it. However, it looks like a way better deal if Calvin Ridley comes back. To have Gabe Davis on one side and Calvin Ridley on the other, with Christian Kirk in the slot and Evan Ingram, like, it doesn't get too much better than that. Now, neither, I believe, are like that true game-changing number one, like a Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. But how many teams have those guys? Like, you don't have to have those guys to win. That's as good a receiving core as you can have in the NFL. Gabe Davis, big body, fast. If it's just him, look for us to probably draft a wide receiver. And the thing I like about Gabe Davis is the size. I've talked about how Trevor Lawrence has some accuracy issues. So having a bigger body with a wider catch radius, big deal. I hope, big things come with Gabe Davis, and there's a bit of untapped potential there. I like the upside, and some people don't seem to realize Gabe Davis is only 24. And if you watch Bills play, Josh Allen kind of gets tunnel vision when it comes to Stephon Diggs, and he did like his little rookie tight end, but he doesn't tend to like to throw outside of those two. It's either those two, or he's taking off and running, or dumping it off to a running back. So Gabe Davis kind of just got the big play scraps. He kind of became the big play guy, but I'm not sure it's just because he couldn't get open. Now, I will say he doesn't run the cleanest routes. But again, I like the upside. I think there's rationale there where, you know what, Gabe Davis wasn't used to his full potential in Buffalo, and maybe we can, get something out of him. We have a pretty good offensive staff here. Hopefully, Doug Peterson sees the light, takes over the play calling, or at least Press Taylor, if he's going to remain the OC, has had an offseason to kind of evaluate what's gone wrong. And a lot of the issues were just in general the offensive line. Hopefully continuity will allow us to be a better O-line, because I don't see how we're going to. We brought Ezra Cleveland back. As of right now, Cam Robinson's still on the roster. Walker Little's on the roster, and Anton Harris is still on the roster. I mean, I'm not saying that they're expected to get cut, but there's a world where Cam Robinson can be cut or traded because of his high cap number. Now, if it were me, I'd move Harris. If Cam Robinson's going to stay, I would move Harris to left tackle, because I feel like he's a more natural left tackle. And I've never thought Cam Robinson was a legitimate left tackle. Now, again, I've talked about sentimentality as a fan. A lot of people loved Rayshon Jenkins because of some of the splash plays he made, and sometimes we just fall in love with some of these players, and we don't really see them for what they are. Cam Robinson is, I don't want to say he's a bad left tackle, but when it comes to pass protection and needing to get Trevor over the hump, we can do better than Cam Robinson. Like, I want them to get an upgrade for Cam Robinson. And as of right now, I think that upgrade is in Harris. And don't get it twisted, like, Harris is still not elite. We need him to take that leap. And I think Cam Robinson could actually be better at right tackle. If that move alone can fix a lot, because the interior, I think, is going to be fixed with Mitch Morse. A lot of people were down on Scherf, but I don't think you guys understand how important synergy is. Scherf had essentially rookies on both sides of him, right? So that means he has to do his job and try to make sure that they're doing theirs as well. Harris was the rookie on the right side, and Fortner, while he's a second-year player, was getting ragdolled all season. And when you're trying to overcompensate, it's a problem. I think having a veteran center next to him, and if you move Cam Robinson over to the right side, that's a highly experienced right side. And then you put, Anton Harris, who has the quicker feet on the left. And then, let him kind of figure things out with Ezra Cleveland. And if things don't work out, you got Walker Little. I like the direction we're going. I like that we're plugging holes. I still hope that, I'm not sure what the play is to get a more elite tackle. The tackle play has to be better. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, Harris was plenty good. Yes, but Harris had a lot of help, and I don't think you guys understand how much our play calling has it makes it hard to judge our tackles. It makes them look better than they are. Look at Jawan Taylor. Jawan Taylor was trash. He's always been trash here, but PFF had him as one of the top tackles, and that's why the Chiefs jumped on him. Now, I get it. He won a Super Bowl and whatnot, but it's not because of Jawan Taylor. It's because teams like Andy Reid, and Doug Peterson is an Andy Reid disciple, understood that they can't leave Jawan Taylor out there for too long. He's going to hold. He's going to get penalties. He's going to let his man win. So you have to get the ball out quickly, or you have to scramble in the opposite direction. So they're kind of doing things despite him. And that's sort of what we do here in Jacksonville, right? It's hard to judge Harris because we try to get the ball out so quickly. That was the book on Trevor Lawrence, is you got to get him off your first read. It's not because Trevor Lawrence is stupid. It's because we don't have time to give Trevor Lawrence to let him look and read the field. Now, if we can get that time, because the other thing, again, if Calvin really gets back and we have these deep threats, and I believe Calvin Ridley would be an elite deep threat, it's just we weren't able to give him the time to operate deep. So, with that being said, let me know what you guys think. I'm hoping, that we can continue to add some depth. I think we're going to add some interior depth in the draft on the O-line. We still need some interior pass rush, and then we'll see where it goes. All right? Remember to like, subscribe, and share. and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.